Hi everyone, I'm Lauren and so great to be here with you guys today. I have been at South Bay Community Church for about 4 years now and I help with the high school ministry at SBCC. I'm just so excited to get to share one of my favorite verses today. I actually changed verses very last minute, but I just felt God was calling me to share this verse. It kind of just popped into my head and I wasn't really even sure why at the time, but as I was preparing, God really just showed me how this new verse is really just relevant to a lot of things going on in my life, and I felt very convicted. And it was really just amazing to see how all-knowing God is and just really telling me what I needed to hear, when I needed to hear it, and I hope that you guys also get some encouragement from this verse. And the verse that I'm choosing to share today is Psalm 73, 25-26. And whom have I in heaven but you? There is nothing on this earth I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. And this is one of those psalms that's actually not written by David. Just for a little bit of context, it's actually written by someone named Asaph, and Asaph was a leader for the temple choirs in the times of David and presumably for Solomon as well. He was one who prophesied according to the order of the king. And if you go through the beginning of Psalm 73 or kind of just read through it briefly, he's really just going through this time of seeing the wicked prosper. But he's someone that's trying to follow God diligently, but he feels like the wicked are prospering, and as a God follower, he's just having a hard time. He's suffering, he's going through a difficult time. But as we go through the psalm, God grants Asaph a change in perspective, and it just kind of reminds him like, hey, I am bigger than anything the wicked could ever do, and I'm greater than anything that they could ever achieve through their sin, and that sin never prospers. So we kind of see this shaping of Asaph's mindset and God realigning Asaph's mind to match God's own mindset. And Asaph is remembering God's truth and is reminded that God is above it all and is worth it all, which is when these specific verses come in, once he's at a point of realizing that nothing is greater than God or as worthy as God is. And for me personally, this verse really just spoke into my own life because I've really been needing some attitude adjustments in my own life, to be honest. I've currently been wrestling kind of with the same attitude that Asaph had, just with I'm currently in a situation where I feel like I've been wronged and I'm like, why are the wicked prospering? And I'm trying to do things right, but I'm in the situation that I don't want to be in. And I feel like things have been taken from me and I'm just like, oh God, why? So recently I was just kind of wanting to live in my anger and do whatever I thought was right and get what I thought I deserved, and just kind of at wit's end and upset because even though I'm trying to be good, I'm like, why God? Why are you letting them do this to me? But I know God is really using this verse at this time to convict me and direct me just to realign my attitude to be more like his and to see things from his point of view and to give me a renewed mindset. Because when I read, whom have I in heaven but you? Earth has nothing that I desire besides you. I love it because I hear Asaph's like just burning desire for God and just wanting to be with Christ and realizing just that inherent value that God has. And I just think to myself, what an amazing proclamation of praise to God and of praising God for just how worthy he is. And I just love that. I want to emulate Asaph. I want that burning desire as well in my own heart. And it really just always brings me back listening to this verse or reading this verse, kind of just out of my own sin of wanting to get what I think I deserve or what's mine and trying to grasp for things of the world that won't matter in the long run and don't matter to God. And I know Asaph was frustrated like I was, but in this situation, he really still chose to seek God, and he wrote this psalm and he chose God above all his earthly desires, and he could have went the other way, but he chose to continue to wrestle through those inner kind of that inner turmoil, but really just brought it to God and asked him to help change his heart. And reading his words, it's just so palpable how much he wants God. And more than wanting the easily attainable pleasures of this world, and more than wanting to prosper as the wicked prospered with seeming ease, and more than having increased worldly riches, more than anything, he just wanted God. And that's my hope for both you and myself, definitely, just to want him more than anything that this world has to offer, want him more than anything that we think is important, whether it's money or vacation time or a raise or whatever it is, a relationship that we're seeking. I just pray that we would let God fill all of those needs and the desires that we're seeking to fill with other things. Because what is anything without Christ? And reading this, especially now when those feelings creep back in, it just reminds me to check myself and look at what I'm desiring and what I'm chasing after. So not letting the things of this world cloud my judgment, not letting them get in the way of me spending time with him and still seeking him, and not letting my heart get caught up in sin, and not letting my heart get caught up in the things of this world. And that this world has really nothing of eternal value to offer me, and only God can do that. And then going on to verse 26, my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. I hear Asaph just reiterating in this psalm, just saying, God, I'm so far from perfect. I'm so far from being good. I'm just a fleshly person. I will mess up and my body's going to fail me, and I'm going to do things I shouldn't, and I'm going to doubt you, God, and I'm falling apart and I have so many weaknesses, but Lord, you are enough and more than enough for me. And I was just so encouraged by this because recently, like I was saying, just having a lot of these internal struggles, but I'm also having a lot of just plain physical struggles as well. And I have just been having dental problems and nerve problems and iron deficiency, and there's just a whole lot of things going on. And I wouldn't think I would be having these things, but here I am. And my body's just failing me. It's falling apart at times, and it's been stressful, and I've just been trying to fix things. And, you know, sometimes it's hard getting older, and that's kind of just the reality of it. But it's such a great reminder that God is where our strength comes from. And in fact, he is our strength, and he alone is our life source and our life supply. And when everything else is falling apart, he never does. And he's always there to pick up the pieces, to help us mend things, to help us get back on our feet. And when Asaph says that he is our portion, it means he is our lifeline. He is our inheritance, our all-sufficient one, and the source of all we could ever need. And he's our everything. He's everything that we could need. And it's just been so comforting to have that hope in him, even when going through all of these other things in life. And this psalm just really stands out to me because of Asaph's willingness to change his attitude and his wanting to change his attitude to align with God. Just having that attitude adjustment and switching from an earthly temporal perspective to one of an eternal perspective. And I think we could all take a page out of Asaph's book. I know I definitely can. And I just want to challenge you this week to just think about what you're chasing after and exchange it for what God has in mind for you, and just leave it at Jesus' feet. And I hope you're encouraged that no matter what we face, no matter who's up against us, no matter the wrongs done against us, or how our bodies are functioning, or if they're not functioning, and if we're having a difficult time outwardly, inwardly, anything, we can still be aligned with the mindset of Christ. And we seek him and the things that are important to the heart of God, knowing that there's nothing better in this world than him alone. And I just pray that God brings you endless joy and peace this week as you go through the rest of the week. And God bless you, and stay safe.